Cal Raleigh, the big dumper, puts up not one, but 2 home runs on his way to shattering a long-standing home run record and matching a Seattle Mariners legend. This is MLB Game Night.
When that final out is made, you know it's time for Locked On MLB Game Night. All the post-game reactions to every game across the league, every single night, with insights only the hosts at Locked On can provide. Prepare to experience game day reactions like never before. Only on Locked On MLB Game Night. Your team every day.
Welcome into MLB Game Night, where it's every game, every night. My name is Jon Frisch. I'm one half of Locked On Angels, and with me is a man who thought Zelda was the guy with the sword, J.D. Hafron of Locked On Cardinals. Coming up on today's show. Yeah, he's not. You got it wrong. Coming up on today's show, Ohtani goes no for 5 innings, but then he gets tungsten-armed O'Doyle. We'll talk about that in a second. The Guardians and the Tigers go to extras in a heart-pounding game, and the Mets try to maintain their momentum after Pete Alonso's walk-off home run on Sunday against the Texas Rangers. Before we get to all that, I want to thank our friends at Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. JD, let's take it to the biggest story of the night as the Mariners meet the Royals in Kansas City. Cal Raleigh is having a historic season. He hit new heights tonight in a convincing win over the Royals, 12-5. Raleigh goes 3 for 5 and pops his 55th and 56th home runs of the season while he drove in 3. He's already hit the most home runs ever for a catcher, and he makes more history, not just for the Mariners, but in MLB history too. Here's Ty Dane Gonzalez of Locked On Mariners on the historic night from Cal, but also someone else earned Ty's player of the game. Let's hear from Ty.
So Cal Raleigh made history tonight. Pretty big deal. But his teammate wound up stealing the show. This is Ty Dane Gonzalez, host of the Locked On Mariners podcast here. Mariners blow out the Royals 12-5 tonight at Kauffman Stadium to extend their win streak into double-digit territory. 10 wins in a row for the Yems at the best possible time. They also lower their magic number to clinch a playoff berth to 8 with 11 games to go, and do so on the back of a huge offensive night led by Cal Raleigh and Dominic Canzone, who combined to hit 5 home runs in this one. Cal with his 55th and 56th on the year. He surpasses Mickey Mantle for the most home runs in a single season by a switch hitter, and ties Ken Griffey Jr. for the most home runs in a single season in Seattle Mariners history. But it was Canzone with 3 homers and a 5 for 5 night. He drives in 4, becomes the second Mariner ever to hit 3 bombs and collect 5 hits in a single game. He winds up being my player of the game tonight, despite all the things Cal accomplished. Crazy. That was a huge way to start a critical road trip for the Mariners, and we'll see if they can get themselves a series victory down in KC either tomorrow or on Thursday, weather permitting. We'll talk to you beforehand on the Locked On Mariners podcast. See you then. Peace.
Yeah, a huge night for Cal Raleigh, overshadowed by Dominic Canzone's huge night as well. But Cal takes the mantle from Mickey Mantle for most home runs from a switch hitter. There you go. Logan Gilbert. Thank you. Logan Gilbert wins his 5th game of the season. JD, you asked me a week ago if I thought the Mariners would end up taking the West, and I let my foolish pride and fandom blind me. Are the Mariners going to make me eat my words right now? What do you say?
Yeah. I think they're a real good team. I got to see them firsthand when the Cardinals played them, and even though the Cardinals played them well, they're not even close to, the same quality of a roster. They just don't have a whole lot of holes going on. And in that series, the left side of the infield with Suarez and Crawford, they played tremendous defense, which is not something that they were known for. And I'm like, dude, if they get all of this together at one time, this is going to be a nasty team to face in the postseason. So sky's the limit for Seattle right now.
Yeah, not a lot of significant injuries. They're getting their starting rotation all back together. And, those guys are working their way back from injury and whatnot, but they've been doing pretty good. And so the Mariners just getting hot at the right time, and now's the perfect time to do it. Let's take it to New York. We got a couple of NL wildcard teams clashing at Citi Field. The New York Mets host the San Diego Padres. And the Padres, they have a 5-game lead over the Mets in the wild card, but the Mets have a number of teams breathing down their necks, hoping to take their place as the third wild card team. Could the Mets keep their heads above the water versus San Diego's Michael King? Here's Chris Schubert of the Locked On Mets postcast on the importance of winning this game.
The piggyback worked for the New York Mets. Got the best version of Clay Holmes. Got the best version of Sean Manaea this season, and a 5 spot from the Mets offense. Led the way as they take the opener of the series against the Padres. And more importantly, I'm sure you're doing some scoreboard watching. I'm sure you're excited about all the things that happened tonight in the Mets game. Bottom line, the Mets won. And if the Mets continue to win baseball games, doesn't matter what happens in Cincinnati, doesn't matter what happens in San Francisco, doesn't matter what happens in Arizona. Luckily, the Giants and Diamondbacks are facing up against one another. The Mets continue to win. These other teams are just going to run out of time. And I think it is the most encouraging thing in the world right now for the Mets that after that walk-off win on Sunday, Pete Alonso providing the heroics, they immediately followed it up with that 5-run first inning. They immediately followed it up with this big win tonight against a good baseball team that's fighting for something, that's trying to win the NL West. And the Mets met the moment. They showed up. They were ready to play. A very encouraging sign with 11 games to go. The message is simple. Don't worry about everybody else. We can do the scoreboard watching at home, but for the Mets, just about winning.
Yeah, Chris mentioned that piggyback approach on the mound for the Mets, and it certainly paid off. Clay Holmes going 4 innings pitched, 3 hits, 2 earned runs, 1 walk and 2 Ks. And my karaoke buddy, Sean Manaea, finished the game going 5 innings pitched, 4 hits, just 1 earned on 4 Ks. And the Mets poured on the offense on Michael King. They got him for 10 hits, 8 earned runs, 4 home runs across 3 innings. Now, J.D., Chris made a great point about how the Mets just need to keep taking care of business and not worry about the scoreboard and all that. I was waiting for him to pull the Aaron Boone and go, it's right here in front of us, right? Unfortunately, he didn't do that. We've seen the Mets. They've had their momentum swing back and forth all season. Is the pendulum swinging back to the right direction at this point in time for the Mets?
I'm not ready to say that yet. They've got a lot to prove. And just a couple of days ago, they had lost 8 in a row. So
yeah.
I'm not giving them enough credit yet. But as we've said before, John, like, this roster's got too many good guys on it to be as bad as they were. Eventually, things were going to even out a little bit. I just don't know if they've got enough time to get back on a hot streak heading into the playoffs. I still don't think they're going to fall out of this thing, but they gotta get their butts in gear. Let's put it that way. So, like you said, one day at a time. Just focus on yourself and not worry about anybody else. Because if you win, nobody can catch you.
Yeah, exactly. You got to stay ahead in that race. Let's finally take it to the Astros and the Rangers in Houston. The Houston Bats come to life on Tuesday night. They knocked the Rangers starter Merrill Kelly around for 6 runs on 9 hits and just 3 innings of work. Astros scored 4 runs in the 4th inning to take a commanding 6-0 lead. And it was 6-1 in the 8th when the Rangers made the game a little more interesting by scoring 4. Jonah Heim had a 2-run blast to make it 6-5. They'd put 2 on in the 9th with Brian Abreu on the mound, but he struck out Kyle Higashioka to end the game and pick up his 7th save of the season. Brian Abreu making things interesting for Astros fans and giving them all heart attacks. Now, that win helps the Astros keep pace with Seattle in the AL West, trailing by just a half game, and now they're a half game up on Boston for the second wild card spot. We'll talk about how Boston performed today as well. So the Astros and Rangers really trying to stick in that race, but the Rangers are starting to lose some ground, and they really needed to win this series to make a name for themselves and get into that postseason conversation through the American League wild card. Hey, Shohei Ohtani can do it all, but was it all enough to overcome the National League East champs? That's coming up next on MLB Game Night.
Today's show being brought to you by PrizePicks. It is the daily fantasy app where making the right call can actually pay off. Now, you and I, we make decisions each and every day, some good, some bad, but on PrizePicks, being right means cashing in. With football back, PrizePicks is the simplest and fastest way to get in on the action. You just pick more or less on 2 to 6 player projections. It's very simple, and you can turn your takes into real prizes and do it all in less than 60 seconds. Monday Night Football, we had 2 games, and I decided to go PrizePicks on this one, and I took the over on Justin Herbert's 1.5 touchdown passes and Baker Mayfield's over on 1.5 touchdown passes, cashed in on both. Worked out quite nicely for myself, and I'll take that and roll it into the next week. So do what I do. Download the PrizePicks app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONMLB, one word, LOCKEDONMLB, for $50 in lineups after your first $5 play. PrizePicks, it's good to be right.
We're back here on a Locked On MLB Game Night, where it's every game, every night. Let's take it to Los Angeles, where the Phillies won the National League East on Monday night in an extra innings bout with the Dodgers. Tonight, it was Shohei Ohtani on the mound for LA, while the Phillies sent potential Cy Young candidate Christopher Sanchez to the mound. And Ohtani was the victim of a good old-fashioned tungsten arm O'Doyle. Angel fans know that
God bless
term.
you. I don't know what that means.
Very
What is
well.
that?
It's essentially he does something great, historic, that has never been done, and then his team still loses. That happened a lot with the Angels. And in this one, he threw 5 no-hit innings, only gave up 1 walk, didn't give up a hit, and he got pulled after 68 pitches, which is understandable. He's still working his way back. But here's Connor Thomas of Locked On Phillies on all the excitement that took place after Ohtani left the mound.
The Philadelphia Phillies come from behind, win the hangover game, and Rafael Marchand plays the hero. I'm Connor Thomas, your host of Locked On Phillies, and the Phils get no hit through the first 5 innings. And then in the 6th, the bats explode, and they score 6 runs to take a lead, and then the Dodgers claw their way back. What a series this has been. I mean, my goodness, just back and forth, high-level baseball. And Rob Thompson sticking with Brandon Marsh, who hits a 3-run home run in that 6th inning. And then sticking with Rafael Marchand, with JT Realmuto available to pinch hit. And Marchand hitting the go-ahead 3-run shot in the 9th with 2 outs. Just an amazing fight by this Phillies team. They win the season series against the Dodgers. They win this series against the Dodgers. They're 6.5 up for the 2 seed. There's something special about this baseball team. And we'll talk more about it on the next episode of Locked On Phillies.
Yeah, after Ohtani left the game, Wroblewski let the bases loaded. Bryce Harper rips a 2-run double. And then he mentioned that Marchand home run off Blake Trinan for the 9-6 lead. Now, JD, last year, it was the Dodgers starting pitching staff that was broken and battered and injured. And then the bullpen stepped up for them in the playoffs. But now the story's kind of different. 4 times in the last 7 years have the Dodgers bullpen given up 9 runs. And tonight was the 5th time they've done it just this season. And so you're getting somewhat of a postseason preview with the fact that Ohtani goes 5 as a starter, but then the bullpen gives it up. Are the Dodgers in trouble once this postseason arrives?
I would assume that they would not be pulling Ohtani at that point of the game if this was a postseason game. I would assume they would have kept him out there. I would think they're probably going to try to get him to 85, 90 pitches in a game like that. But it's got to make you worry if you're a Dodgers fan, because it's happened all year. Like, it just has been a consistent problem that, you know, when we talked about the rotation being injured so much this year too, and now you got most of these guys back, and you're going to need to use this pen at some point. I don't know who you trust out there anymore. Right. Like, there's nobody that I look at and go, well, at least he's lights out. Nobody. There's nobody out there where you're at least that I've watched that I trust that is in a Dodger uniform coming out of that bullpen when that gate opens. So I hope the starters are ready to go 7, 8, maybe 9 in the postseason if they're going to pull this out. The one thing that's great about the Dodgers is they got the offense that can keep up with anybody. So I still wouldn't be sweating it, but I'm not nervous about what's going to happen in the postseason with that pen.
I just can't count them out in the postseason, considering
of course not
the way they're starting rotation and the shape they were in when they started the playoffs. I was like, oh, they're not going to go very far. And then they go on to win it all. So they found a way, but I just got to get this out of my system. Shohei Ohtani goes 5 no-hit innings on the mound and hits a solo home run to put up his 2nd consecutive 50 home run season with the Dodgers. as the Dodgers fall 9-6 to the Phillies. So there you go. That's a tungsten Armo Doyle for you. The Chicago Cubs had themselves a nice 4-0 win over the Pirates on Monday in Pittsburgh. Their offense seems to be clicking again, the clicking Cubs. Pete Armstrong ripped a solo home run in addition to Michael Busch hitting one as well on Monday. And this one, they had a pretty good pitchers matchup. Cade Horton, who's been a godsend for this Cubs rotation, and he went up against Paul Skeens for the Pirates. Would the Cubs offense continue to click against the front runner for the NL Cy Young? Well, here's Gary from Locked On Pirates with bad news for Skeens and the Pirates.
When it rains, it pours as a Pirates fan, and Paul Skeens is the one who has really, I think, his worst outing of the season, really. 3 2/3 innings, 92 pitches it took him to do that. The Cubs have cracked the Rubik's Cube that is Paul Skeens, at least as far as his approach goes to trying to get them to make quick contact. This is Gary from Locked On Pirates. Yeah, it's been a frustrating season, and it's appropriate that it would end this way, at least as far as the trying to match the low point that was the record of the last 2 seasons. The Pirates have just exceeded that. They will have a worse record than they have in the previous 2. What an indictment of the GM. There must be something done. Here's another indictment that we're going to have to face sooner or later. Buddy of mine, John Drecker, pulled this up, and I just have to hit you with it. Brian Reynolds and O'Neill Cruz are the first pair of Pittsburgh Pirates teammates to strike out 160 or more times in the same season. Their combined total of 332 only trails the combo of Brian Reynolds and O'Neill Cruz, 337, from last year among Pirates teammates. Those are 2 gigantic building blocks of whatever we're supposedly building here. And then the foundation of it threw up a stinker today. The only one I've ever really seen him throw. The Steelers are winning. Oh, no, they didn't. More on this on Locked On Pirates tomorrow.
Ouch. Look, and Paul Skeens throws a stinker, but it's not going to be helped by that many strikeouts from, like he said, 2 of your biggest building blocks is the Cubs win 4-1. Michael Busch led off the game with a home run off Skeens, his 29th of the season. Busch and Horner combined to go 6 for 9 at the top of the order. PCA 1 for 4 with 2 RBIs, but 3 strikeouts. Cade Horton picks up the win. He goes to 11-4. Skeens falls to 10-10, and his ERA balloons from 1.92 to 2.03. That guy stinks. Get him out of there. No, I'm just kidding. Hey, there was a heart-pounding game and some late inning heroics between the Guardians and the Tigers. The Tigers tied the game at 3 in the bottom of the 9th on a 2-out solo blast from Kerry Carpenter off Cade Smith to send it into extra innings. And the Guardians would face Detroit's Will Vest, who hadn't allowed a run in his last 5 outings, but that would change in a major way. Let's hear from Justin of Locked On Guardians on the heart-pounding end to this game.
Companies never say die, and apparently neither do the Cleveland Guardians. Holding on to my chest right here after another heart-pumping win. Justin Latta here from Locked On Guardians, and thank goodness Angel Martinez couldn't get a bunt down. I've never been so happy for someone not to be able to bunt, even though he was trying to bunt, because instead of bunting and giving up an out in the 10th inning, Angel Martinez has to swing away, Merrill, and gets a double, drives in a run. The Guardians explode for 4 runs in the 10th inning. Who needs all those runs in the first 9 innings? You could just wait till the 10th inning to do the bulk of the damage. Why not? I love the Rob Manfred extra runner role. Who doesn't love that role? Joey Cantillo was good enough, not great. The bullpen walked the tightrope all night long, and then Cade Smith got the first 2 outs, and there's that guy, Kerry Carpenter again. Thought we were done with that whole thing, but no, he hits a game-tying pinch hit home run in the 9th inning with 2 outs. Off Cade Smith, Guardians closers just cannot beat Kerry Carpenter, apparently. But the Guardians still managed to win. They're still not getting any help, but they are hanging tight. They're making sure the Tigers can't clinch the AL Central in Detroit against Cleveland, and they'll continue battling all week long. We'll have it all covered for you on Locked On Guardians. Don't miss a second.
Guardians making it interesting, trying to stay in that wild card conversation. Will Vest, 4 runs surrendered, 5 hits, falls to 6-4 on the year. So they got the best of Vest, the Guardians did there. Hey, 2 NL West teams have to duke it out in the desert as they try to sneak or snake their way into the wild card. That's coming up next on MLB Game Night.
Today's show being brought to you by Monarch Money. Most people can't name all their financial accounts or even what they're worth, whether it's the 401ks, whether we're talking properties or investments. And when you don't have the full picture, you can end up leaving money on the table. Nobody wants that. That is why there is Monarch Money. It's an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together. Cohesive. Brings it together for you. All in one clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop or your phone. Monarch, it's built for people with busy lives. So if you've been putting off organizing your finances, Monarch is here for you. They'll do the heavy lifting. You can link all your accounts in minutes, see clear data visuals, get smart categorization of your spending, and finally, feel in control of your money without ever touching a spreadsheet. So don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. No. Use code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with code LOCKEDONMLB. Today's show also being brought to you by Gametime. Now, there's nothing like catching a baseball game live, a sporting event live. Let's just be honest. But getting tickets sometimes can be the real hassle. That's the tough part with queues and login screens and those nasty surprise fees. It just takes the fun out of getting tickets to go see your favorite team, which is why we use Gametime, the app that gives the advantage back to fans. It's fast, it's easy, and it's backed by the Gametime guarantee, where you're always going to get 100% authentic tickets delivered on time and at the best price possible. Plus, all the fees are included. They're not going to sneak up on you and add some things in there where you're like, wait, why did it go up so much? No, you don't have to worry about that. The price you see is the price you pay. Download the Gametime app. Be smart. Create an account. Use the code LOCKEDONMLB. Why wouldn't you? $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download Gametime today.
JD, my friend, tell us what went down in St. Louis between the Reds and the Cardinals.
All right, I'm in a much better mood about things after tonight's game compared to last night's game, right, where things went real bad. Reds still holding on to hope for that NL wildcard spot. They haven't given up yet. Came from behind last night, beat my Birds 11-6. Things were drastically different on Tuesday. We had rookie Michael McGreevy on the mound. And when I say we, I'm talking about the Cardinals because, yes, I play for them. He takes the mound for St. Louis, had the Reds in a blender all night long, tossing 7 shutout innings, 3 hits, 6 Ks. Was not under much pressure at all. Like, everything was pretty relaxed and simple for him. And the bullpen, which, let the Cardinals down yesterday, they had their A-team back, their top guys back with JoJo Romero and Riley O'Brien throwing 2 shutout innings to close it out. Cardinals didn't even do anything all that much offensively. 8 hits on the night, but they get a sac fly in the first inning by Nolan Arenado, which is nice to see him back. He had another nice play over at third base, and you forget how good he is defensively at the hot corner, even at this stage of his career. And then you get a 2-run shot from Thomas Saggese, his first home run at Busch Stadium. And that was all it took. Cardinals clinched the overall season series over Cincinnati. The rubber match is set for Wednesday afternoon.
So no sweep like Jeff was hoping for, and no season series either. So take that.
Take the broom and you go home, Jeff. There's no room for your brooms here at Busch Stadium. Get out of here with it.
Let me take you to Milwaukee, where the Angels met the Brewers, and the Angels, they don't have anything to play for now. They have Zach Neto on the IL as of today. Nolan Shonowell still on the IL. Trout's busy searching for home run number 400 in his career, and also making contact. And they just have to play the best team in baseball. So while I'm hanging my head, we've got Chuck from Locked On Brewers, who's enjoying the win and a standout performance from one particular Brewer.
Christian Yelich, comeback player of the year. Yes, sir. Should I tell you why? I'll tell you why in a second. Hey, everybody, Chuck Freeman, Instant Reaction, Locked On Brewers. Because he's coming back from back surgery. He missed the final, 2 months of the season last year. I know he was having a decent year last year, but 29 home runs, hit a 2-run bomb tonight to put him up 5-0. double earlier in the game. He's among the leaders in RBIs in the National League. Just having a fantastic year. Comeback Player of the Year. You know how I feel about those postseason awards. I feel like we win all those postseason awards, but don't win a playoff series. Maybe that'll change, but Christian Yelich is a big reason why this team is where they are right now. In the heart of the order, and he is hitting. And he is hitting and producing for this team. And Peralta struck out 10 over 6 innings tonight. Beautiful night here in Wisconsin. Leaving the ballpark early. Is this game in hand for the Brewers? Talk to you a little bit later on tonight in the next edition of Locked On Brewers. Please subscribe.
Yeah, it wasn't just a 10K night for Freddie Peralta. It was a season-high 10K night against the Angels. And if you're a fan like me of the Angels, you know that comes as no surprise, which is just ridiculous. Now, the only thing we do have to watch are the young guys that the Angels are giving a look to. And in this one, they got solo home runs from Denzer Guzman, a top prospect, and also Christian Moore, their pick from 2024 in the first round. They got solo home runs, but the Brewers beat the Angels 9-2. Let's take it over to Boston, where Connelly Early, one of the Red Sox top pitching prospects, made his debut in Sacramento versus the A's and picked up the win last week. And he get a rematch with the A's, this time in front of the Red Sox fans at Fenway Park. Would Early and the Red Sox have the same result in Boston this time? Well, Early would pitch well, but it was the offense that let him down, and Gabby from Locked On Red Sox has the result and what went wrong, and she's actually at Fenway right now.
The Red Sox will miss the playoffs if they don't start hitting with runners in scoring position. I'm Gabby Maljanian from Locked On Red Sox, where we just saw the Red Sox lose 2-1 against the A's in a game in which they really needed to win. Every game moving forward here on out is a must-win game for this Boston Red Sox team if they want to make the playoffs. Those playoff standings are really close right now in the wild card. And in this game tonight, the Red Sox faced a huge problem with being able to score with runners on base, particularly early on in the game when they had the bases loaded and nobody out, and they could not score. That was the biggest source of their problem tonight, as they could only get one run across the board. And they've got to continue to figure out ways to score with runners on base. The biggest problem is that Wilyer Abreu and Roman Anthony, two of their key hitters, are currently not in the lineup because of injury, and they desperately need those guys back, but they need to try to make it work with the guys they have. Alex Bregman's been in a big slump lately. Can he figure it out? Find out more on Locked On Red Sox on any podcast platform.
Yeah, that made it 5 straight wins for the A's, who've been rather pesky against these playoff teams. They took a series against the Reds, and now they're taking this game from the Red Sox. And, maybe pulling early, a little too early on the part of Alex Cora. Booney from Locked On A's, he's got something to say about that after this game.
September and October is when legends are written, when the spotlight burns brightest, and when heroes are crowned. But not every team gets to chase that dream. The A's, they're not chasing rings. They are shattering them. And tonight, that is exactly what they did, going into Boston and beating the Red Sox 2-1. Connelly Early, making his second major league start, was absolutely dealing. And why Cora pulled him after 5 1/3 innings, 80 pitches, is beyond me. But thank you very much, Joey Cora, because Tyler Soderstrom, pinch hit, RBI double. Brett Harris, RBI single. That's all the A's needed. 2-1. A's win it in Boston. In a month built for contenders, the A's have carved out their role as dream crushers, the team that drags the hopeful back to reality and reminds Major League Baseball that this ain't no Disney movie. Join us this evening, 9 p.m. Locked On A's is going live, and we are absolutely partying, popping the champagne and getting after it. Again, A's 2, Red Sox 1. Thanks for coming, Boston. See you tomorrow.
A's are the dream crushers. I love that from Booney. Now, I do have to point this out. Trevor Story stole 2 bags in this game. He's now 30 for 30 tries in stolen bases.
What if I
season.
told you that Trevor Story couldn't get thrown out? ESPN's 30 for 30.
Yeah, there you go. Exactly. How appropriate. 30 for 30. Let me take you to Minnesota, where the New York Yankees took a loss to the Twins on Monday, but it's a team they've historically beaten up on. And Brian McKeon of Locked On Yankees, he said, you know what? I'm confident that the Yankees can get their win back. And it started out that way. The Yankees got out to a 10-1 lead by the fourth inning. They put up 11 hits on 9 runs on twin starter Zebby Matthews. And here's the key, JD. They only had 1 2-run home run from Trent Grisham in that span of 9 runs. Everything else was good hits, good contact, all of that. It wasn't the all or nothing swings that were used
small
to.
ball Yankee style, though.
Exactly. The classic Yankee small ball, right? However, the Twins stormed right back. They put up 8 against the Yankee starter Cam Schlittler and reliever Ryan Yarbrough to make it 10-8 in the bottom of the 9th. David Bednar had to come in and close the game for the Yankees, and he did give up a solo home run to Trevor Larnach to make it 10-9, but he was able to get the save and hang on for the Yankees win. All right, JD, take us to your second favorite team, where the Rays hosted the Blue Jays.
So the Blue Jays, we know they like to score runs. They're pretty good at it, and they didn't waste much time on Tuesday night against the Rays, putting up 1 in the first, 3 in the second on RBI hits by Addison Barger, George Springer, and Vladdy Jr. But the Rays do what they do normally, and they answer back. 3-run home run by Brandon Lau, his 29th of the year. They actually had to review this one to see if a fan interfered with the call, but the call was upheld. 3-run homer. Let's go around the bases. Next inning, though, here come the Blue Jays again. Nathan Lucas hits one that is originally called a double. Had to go review this one, too. We know it's a quirky ballpark.
What are they doing down there in Tampa?
Now. This call gets overturned, and they actually give him a home run, his 11th of the season. Joey Loperfido would also put one over the boards to make it 6-3 Toronto. Rays would threaten getting 1 in the 8th and in the 9th, but the Blue Jays hang on to win it by a score of 6-5. Toronto has now won 6 in a row. They're 89-62 as they look to clinch that number 1 seed in the American League, but they did get some bad news. Wasn't exactly, like breaking news, but they're going to have to do it without Bo Bichette. It was confirmed that he is going to be done for the rest of the regular season. They hope to have him back and ready to go when the postseason begins, but he's out with that sprained PCL in his left knee. So that's a big piece of that Toronto lineup that's going to be missing for the rest of the regular season.
Absolutely. Let's take it to the desert where the Giants and Diamondbacks continue to jockey for position for the top of the wild card spot in the National League. Arizona got the W on Monday, and on Tuesday it started with the Giants scoring 4 times in the first against Diamondback starter Eduardo Rodriguez. But those sneaky snakes, they just don't go away. They answered with 3 in the second. Adrian Del Castillo hitting a 2-run home run. Giants take a 5-3 lead off of Wilmer Flores home run in the third. Then it gets tied up in the 5th on an RBI hit from Ketel Marte and Corbin Carroll. Stayed that way all the way to the bottom of the 9th when Jordan Lawler stepped in with the bases loaded. Nobody out. It's a little tapper. Just tap it in. Tap, tap-a-roo. Gets by the pitcher, scores the winning run from third. Snakes walk it off 6-5. Corbin Carroll goes 3 for 5. Arizona has won 4 straight, and they remain in 1.5 games back of the New York Mets. Let's take it to Chicago, where Dylan Beavers tripled, homered, and drove in 3 runs for the Orioles. And Gunnar Henderson and Kobe Mayo, they had 3 hits apiece. And the Baltimore Orioles beat the Chicago White Sox 8-7 on Tuesday night. Wasn't without the White Sox making it interesting at the end there, but the Orioles were able to hold on. JD, there was a doubleheader between the Braves and the Nationals. Tell us about that.
Game 1, Matt Olson. I don't know if anybody's been paying attention because he's on the Braves, and
I remember that guy.
Dude is in fuego. Coming off his second 4 RBI game of the season, he went yard in the game in game 1 of this doubleheader to cap a 5-run 4th inning as they defeat the Nats in game 1 by a score of 6-3. Jose Suarez made his first major league start of the year and his first big league appearance since April 10th. Gave up just 2 runs in 7 innings while striking out 9. And closer, Rafael Iglesias, you're familiar with him as well, converted his 250th career save, becoming just the 40th pitcher to reach that mark and just the 5th active one to hit the mark as well. Then in game 2, it was Chris Sale who got the start, and he was in vintage Chris Sale form, tossing 8 shutout innings with 9 Ks. Unfortunately, his offense didn't come to play. They couldn't crack Mackenzie Gore in the Nats bullpen, which sent the game to extras in a scoreless tie. Top half of the 10th, though, the Braves were up for 5 runs. Matt Olson, here he is again, continues that torrid streak. Didn't get a home run, but hits a 3-run triple, closest thing he can do to get it. Braves win at 5-0, have now won 3 in a row.
Finally, let's take it to Colorado. There was a little bit of a rain delay as the Marlins and Rockies met. It was a 6-5 win for the Marlins. Yuri Perez, brilliant for the Fish, 5 innings pitched, no runs given up, 1 hit, 6 strikeouts. Now, Miami did have the 6-0 lead, but the Rockies get 3 in the 8th on a Mickey Moniak 3-run homer, 2 more in the 9th.
Too.
Yeah, I know him too. All these former Angels doing great things for other teams. 2 more in the 9th to make the Marlins scoring, but they do hold on to it 6-5. Jacob Marcy, 1 for 5, 2 RBIs, hitting .319 since debuting at the beginning of August for Miami. Thanks for joining us for this episode of Locked On MLB Game Night. Don't forget to share, like, subscribe, do all those fun things for us. We hope you'll come back and visit us next time on MLB Game Night, where it's every game, every night.
Rest in peace, Robert Redford. The natural rules.